Hello and welcome to an interesting video where I tell you or show you examples of how you can memorize a piece of music and work to do so. Now, what a lot of people do is they get a piece of music and they work through it with the music, and they get to the end of the music and they play through it with the music and again with the music and again and again and again. And what happens is they eventually rely on muscle memory. So what they'll do is they might sort of put that to one side one day and they'll go, I know what we'll do. We'll see if we can, test it out, and then they'll test it out, and it doesn't necessarily work, and they just sort of refresh every bar that's not okay. Yeah, go back to it. That little bit of trial and error, and then they kind of can play it pretty well. But most of it's through muscle memory. Now, muscle memory is very good, but there are some really, really strong techniques that you can use, some tips and tricks. And I'm going to basically tell you what they are. Now, I'm going to tell you what they are. With no expectation from anything from you, really, but there are a lot of things going on out there. A lot of things that you'll see advertised, like £100 for a course on really effective memorization technique. I'm here to tell you, try and avoid paying money for this kind of information, because all it is basically what I'm going to be telling you, but in a more elaborate kind of way. So I'm just going to basically tell you the tips and tricks that you can do, really. This is an example from one of Bergmüller's 25 Easy and Progressive Studies. I've deliberately chosen it because they're nice, short, bite-sized pieces. They're study pieces. And I've chosen piece 4, La Petite Réunion, the little party. And I've chosen that one because I don't know it, so I'm going to try and memorize not all of it, obviously, but I'm going to take maybe the first 4 bars and just show you a few sort of tips and tricks that we can use. We're going to do it live, effectively. You're going to watch me in real time memorize this piece of music. Okay, so if we have a look at the first 4 bars, and if I just have a play through them, and what I'll do is I'll sort of say to myself, what have we got going on here? We've got G, A, B, C, E, F, and then G for a semi-breve. Now, what I can do to really help me memorize that is sort of say to myself, what actually is it? It's not G, A, B, C, E, F. What it actually is it's the first 4 notes of a G major scale, but we're actually in the key of C major here. So what I'm going to say is it's actually the last 4 notes of a C major. And if I just remember that I have to go on finger 4, so finger 4, you're going to go and then drop down to E. Now what's going to happen there is I'm going to have to remember that I have to drop down to the E. So what am I going to do? Am I going to remember that as C to a drop down to E? Or am I going to sing it to myself? Nam, lam, 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 nam, lam. So singing to yourself really does help as well. And as daft as it sounds, and as daft as you may feel doing it, you will actually get a really, really good result if you really take little bits like that, little, where the interval suddenly drops or suddenly rises in suddenly random places. If you just isolate it, you can really, really get that locked in. Okay, so that's it. I just need to remember that G is a semi-breve. Okay. Now, if I were to look on with, in fact, to be honest, what I can have a look through is just say to myself, well, hang on, what have we got coming up here? We've got bar 3 is very similar at the beginning, but it just extends a little bit, because bar 3, so dum 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 dum, so sing it like that, so dum 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 dum. So let's do that from memory. This might not work, but it might. Good. Okay, that worked, didn't it? Okay, good. So all I've got now is to put the put the right hand to that. And what I'm going to think is, what is the right hand doing? The right hand's very easy, actually. It's in thirds. But the question is, how do I know where the thirds are going to start? I can see on the music that it's a D and an F. Okay, it's there. But is that going to be enough? Am I going to be able to say, ooh, it's a D and an F? You know, am I going to remember that it's there? What's going to stop me from going like this and going, oh, that was the wrong bit? Well, one of the things you can do is reference what's going on in the left hand. And what's going on in the left hand is that G, that semibreve. And the D and the F, with that G, make a very important chord. I mean, obviously there's no B in it, so let's not worry about that, but it makes a G7. So if I just think to myself, G7, then I remember what it is. And then I can look at that music and I can already say, well, the whole thing's descending. What I might just need to do is just play it a couple of times just to make sure that my fingering's right. But 3, 5, 4, 2, 1, 3, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1, 3. Right, all I'm doing is I'm literally crossing over. So those two, those two, those two, 3 times basically. Okay, and that last one is a crotchet. Now, certain things you're going to have to think about cognitively, we call it. You know, you're going to have to just remember them. So, for example, that C and that E that start off bar 3 are a crotchet as opposed to a quaver that is staccato. So that for 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just have to remember to hold it for the duration. Now, what I can also do is liken that to what's happening in the left hand with that G on bar 3, because that's a crotchet anyway. You know, that whole phrase is slurred together. There's no rests in it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I just remember that that C and that E is going to come off as soon as the next note comes on like that. Okay. What do I notice going forward? Well, I mean, one of the great things, and this is true of classical music, no matter how complex you think a piece of classical music is, they are full of repetition, like absolutely full of them. And this is no exception by the looks of it, because we've got bar 2 here, and then we've got bar 3, which is the same. Let's just... Yeah, it's even the same fingers. And then we've still got that crotchet C and E there. But obviously bars 5 and 6, which I may as well just finish that particular passage off with 5 and 6. What's going to happen there is it just obviously has more to it in the right hand than what we've just done. So let's see if we can just put those together. There's no need to do it slowly, no need to do it quickly, so let's go slow. Nah, I was wrong, you see. So just take a refresh. In the left hand on bar 5 yet, so I'm not sure what that's doing yet. And what I'll do is right now, even though I've only started learning this for the last couple of minutes, put that up there and see how it goes, okay? Right, okay, so... Okay, good. Right. Now, that's really, really important to remember as well. You know, if you want to start learning music from memory, start early. Start chunking it out like this, and then put it to one side. Don't do any more on it. Put it to one side, and then test yourself. Say, okay, is there anything that I need to do? Right now, there's nothing that I need to do. I am going to finish that passage because it seems a logical couple of bars and a logical place to finish it off with. But once I've done that, that'll be it, right? I won't do any more straight away. So, we know how that bar leads into it. So what we've got here is that, and that. Okay, so what have we got? We've got a nice grounded C major type chord. Now when I say type chord, it is really a C major. We've just taken the G off the top of it and we're in the key of C. So logically, it's going to be that. Now I know from ear that it's going to be, if it sounds like that, it's going to have the C in the bass. But if I didn't know that, what I can do is just sing the left hand part. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, and that's actually really quite nice. So what we've got is C, A, F, G. So C, A, F, G. Now, if you're familiar with sort of contemporary rock and roll type music, you'll know that C, A minor, F, G is a really, really common chord progression. So all I need to do is think to myself, oh, well, left hand is doing that. Obviously, the right hand's a little bit different in terms of how it's splaying those chords out, because that is fine. I've cracked that first one because that's the same as bar 3. E and C. Well, what can I say about E and C? It's the same 2 notes. All I'm doing is I'm taking the bottom one, putting it to the top. It's all these little observations that are going to really, really come into play. So that's right. And then C and D with the F. Now that's interesting, because what that is going to give us is the idea of an F6th chord. There's no A in there, so there's no 3rd note in it, but it's still the idea of an F6th anyway. So F, C and D. Okay, so C and E, E and C, C and D. Okay, and then this one's a nice easy one. So B and G. So G, B, G. So that's nice because it's a nice close harmony. So we've not got the D. It's 3 notes. They're all 3 notes, okay? 3 notes is what makes a really, really nice chord. But because we've got G and G at the top, if I put the D with it, it would sound a little bit empty because it would be a G5th chord. But that B is clarifying that it's a major. So listen to the difference there. So there's a 5th, and here's a major, or a 3rd, a major 3rd. So what we've got is C, A minor, but just swapping those notes around, you know, swapping the bottom one for the top one. F6, and then G with the 3rd and not the 5th, basically. So, and what I can do is take the top notes of those notes and go lum, 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 lum. Do that a few times. Lum, 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 lum. That's alright, isn't it? So, okay. So what I'll do is I'll assume that I've got it all cracked now. Let's see. So. No, but you see, I recognise that it sounded different. So let's do it again. Get that flow. Ooh, now I didn't think it through. Okay, really good. And what I'm not playing it the best right now, but that's not the point. The point is I'm trying to memorize it. And once it's sort of locked in and with a bit more memory, then I can start to sort of think about playing around with it. But I don't want to play around with it too much right now, because that is very much in my short-term memory. I can't guarantee that that will still be there in an hour's time. So what I need to do is not progress with that. And I need to reassess that. Not long, you know, I don't have to wait an hour for it, but I need to reassess that in maybe 10 minutes or so. I just go back to it and sort of say, okay, let's play it again. And if I play it again and it's great, then fair enough, I can move on. If I play it again and it's sort of a bit sort of non-confident, then I can reassess then at that point, rather than do what a lot of people do, or a lot of pianists do, and they sort of try and reassess it all straight away, and they kind of go, no, it needs fixing now, it needs fixing now. No, it doesn't, because what will happen is you just won't know where you're up to, you won't know where your mind's up to. So give yourself that little bit of time for it to either sink in or for you to forget what is going to be forgotten, and then you'll know where you're up to and what needs focusing on. But let's just try it again, because I've been speaking for a few minutes now. I've still got the melody going around in my head, but let's see if it's still sort of there. So I realised that I didn't do one of those as a crotchet when you know, that should be one crotchet, but I realised that mistake after. But as I say, I recognised that after the event, so it's there. But what I just need to do now is make sure that the information's all there, and then I can work on perfecting it.